How's it going, everyone? My name is True Wonder Dog, and today we're talking about the patch notes for Raiden. Thanks to all the buffs this character received, I'm proud to say he's finally godlike, although there are a couple of nerfs mixed in. However, those changes don't really make him weaker. Instead, they just help to normalize the moves and make them a bit more consistent with the rest of the roster. Alright, so without any further ado, let's get started. So for starters, his lightning strike now tracks the opponent when amplified, which means the follow-up is no longer going to miss. This did happen in some certain rare situations, but now I'm proud to say it's physically impossible to miss the follow-up as long as the first hit lands. However, do keep in mind if you miss the first hit, then the amplified version will not come out. And these next changes actually only apply to his second tournament variation. As you may have heard in the Kombat cast, one of the main goals of this update was to make the secondary variations feel a bit more powerful. That way players will feel more incentivized to use them online, and hopefully we see them a lot more at tournaments as well. So Electric Burst is now 19 frames instead of 17, so it's 2 frames slower, and it's also active for 1 less frame, so in other words you have 1 less frame to hit the opponent with. However, to balance things out, this move does recover 3 frames faster, so that's very nice. And then if you activate Quick Charge, this move has more pushback on block and is also more plus on block as well. So look at that, it's only -5 when you have Quick Charge activated, and it also has way more pushback, so it's impossible for the opponent to punish when you have this buff activated. So in other words, this move is normally -10, so it's very punishable, especially since we don't push the opponent back. But during Quick Charge, it has tons of pushback and it's -5, so the opponent now has no way of punishing it. Very nice stuff. Electric Current also got a buff as well, so the combo scaling has now been adjusted, so it now behaves properly when done during a combo. And the recovery frames have also been reduced by 4, so it recovers a little bit quicker than before. Which is honestly kinda crazy because this move already has fantastic range, but the amplified version is just ridiculous. This thing is now an actual poke. It does cost you meter, but look at how this thing just says no, stay out of my space. Raiden now has better neutral than a vast majority of the cast in my opinion, at least when it comes to dominating past jumping distance. A lot of characters can't hurt you from that far away, but Raiden actually can. He has tons of moves to dominate from jumping distance and further, and this move when amplified just goes to support that even more. This guy is a beast when he's further away. And the amplified version also hits mid now, and if you have Quick Charge activated, it's actually a combo extender. Now the combos you do afterwards can be a bit tricky, but now you can actually use this move to extend combos as long as the buff is active. Very awesome stuff since Raiden's combos were quite limited before, and now he has one more way to extend combos. Very awesome. However, do be warned, the amplified version does have 1 more recovery frame on block, so it's only -23, which means fully punishable. So you don't want to do it when the opponent's blocking, you want to hit confirm this thing, especially when amplifying it, because it's still not safe one way or the other. Make sure to hit confirm this bad boy because it's definitely meant for combos, not block strings. That's what this move is actually for, but only if you have the Quick Charge, because then, oh my god, it's so safe on block and tons of pushback. Great for resetting that neutral, but this move, Electric Current, fully punishable no matter what. And this next change actually does make me a little bit sad, so Discharge is now 6 frames instead of 4. So it's no longer hands down the fastest move in the game, now it's just tied for fastest move in the game. Some characters do have a down 1 that is 6 frames, and now Discharge is also 6 frames as well. Which, like I mentioned at the start of the video, this makes the move a bit more normal. It's no longer this weird move that is faster than everything else, instead it's now tied with the other fastest moves in the game. Which is fine, and I do agree it's a bit more balanced, but I just miss the fact that Raiden used to have the fastest move in the game in this one weird variation that pretty much no one used. Mainly because it meant you had to fight Raiden different than anybody else. So normally when playing a character you only think, what move do I have that's -7 or more, because that can actually be punishable, but not against Raiden. Against Raiden, even a move that was -5 was still technically punishable, so it completely changed the matchup when you fought against him. However, now it's only 6 frames, so once again -7 or more is punishable against Raiden. Just like every other character in the game, which once again is fair, but I kinda miss Raiden having the fastest move. However, even so, it does have 1 more active frame to make it a bit better, and its hit reaction has been adjusted so it's the same on an airborne opponent and a grounded opponent. It has the exact same frame advantage no matter what, so if it hits an airborne opponent or a grounded opponent it has the exact same reaction. Cool stuff, and the same frame advantage as well. And also the amplified version has a different hitbox as well, so I assume it's a bit more consistent. However, do be warned that using Discharge does get rid of your Quick Charge buff, so if you're new to playing Raiden or want to pick him up after watching this video, you lose access to all these cool buffs if you do use the Discharge. Now of course you can just do the buff again, but that does require you to drop your combo early in order to do it, or be very far away in the neutral to set it up. So just know while Discharge is a very fast move and very easy to punish with, it does give you access to this new combo extender, And of course, this other move right here is not as good on block without this buff either. So even though discharge is a fantastic way to punish the opponent, do keep in mind you lose access to some of these cool perks. However, make no mistake, discharge is fantastic for punishing the opponent because a special move punish actually comes out on frame 1. Which means even if you do time it a bit too early before your block stun is over, it will still catch the opponent as early as possible. And last but not least, his far teleport is now 21 recovery frames instead of 19, so it's sadly a bit slower. You don't want to do it all the time, the opponent could make a read and punish you for it, but it is the far teleport, so you have this very big gap right here, and some very far reaching normals, so chances are the opponent's not going to punish it, but just be warned, it's slightly slower now, 2 frames slower to be exact. Alright everyone, that's about it for Raiden's changes after this balance patch. Once again, he mostly got better, but there were a few nerfs here and there to make him a bit more consistent with everybody else. In my honest opinion, this character is still pretty godlike now. He has more combo routes, he's much safer on block, and that second variation in particular is now much better than before. Now if you're wondering if this character is now top tier, well that remains to be seen and only time will tell, especially at tournaments. However, I do think Raiden mains are going to be much happier now, and if you were curious about picking up this character, there's never been a better time than now. And it looks like we still have a bit of time left, so next up let's talk about Jade. This character didn't get a ton of buffs, but very similar to Raiden, most of her changes do apply to her second variation, which is a good thing because you basically never saw this variation, especially at tournaments. So first up we have the changes to her pole vault. So for starters, you can now amplify it while running, and you get her blazing Nitro kick. Now this does cost 1 bar of offense, but it's very good for going through projectiles. Let's say you go purple and you want to cover the screen very quickly, you now have a very far-reaching Nitro kick that you can now do while sprinting towards the opponent. Now I'm wondering, can you actually amplify it twice? I doubt it, but let's go ahead and see. No, you can't. So you can't amplify it twice like this, but you can amplify it once while running. Now keep in mind you do want to hold down the button when doing this, otherwise you just get this, and that's not what you want. However, the regular pole vault has been buffed as well. The regular version now does a little bit more damage and recovers 1 frame faster and had its hit region adjusted. So it's a little bit more consistent now, which is very nice, and it does more damage and recovers a bit faster. And the amplified version also does more damage as well. Still a bit tough to angle, but it does do 10 more damage, which is very nice. More damage is always good. And the amplified version also starts up 1 frame faster, recovers 1 frame faster, and has 1 more active frame. So very similar to the regular version. It does more damage, it recovers faster, starts up faster, and it's just all around quicker. And that's still not it for the pole vault. You can also do her fatal blow now while holding the button down. Now I didn't have it available there. I have to lower my health real quick, so let me go ahead and go down to 1%. And now when I hold it down, I can do her fatal blow, which is crazy. Once again, great for blowing through projectiles. So this variation is much more rushdown than the other one. Her first variation is definitely more suited towards zoning, whereas this one can still zone, but it's much more rushdown now thanks to these additions to pole vault. And next up, blazing Nitro kick is also better on block now. So if you amplify it, it has 5 more block stun. Now it's still very minus 16, but apparently it's a bit better on block now. The regular version minus 20, so the amplified version is actually a bit safer, not to mention very similar to Scorpion's teleport. Sometimes amplifying it does catch the opponent off guard. They want to punish the regular version because they know it's unsafe, and then you catch them with the enhanced version. Very sneaky stuff. And Raiden Spark is now a low projectile to every attack in the game. So in other words, some attacks do beat low projectiles or have some sort of reaction to low projectiles in particular, but they didn't behave correctly against Raiden Spark. However, now the game does recognize this move as a low hitting projectile and now behaves appropriately towards it. Kind of a bit technical, but in other words, this move now behaves correctly against everybody on the roster. And last but not least, they fixed an issue with the hop attacks and temptation not being counted in the blazing Nitro kick crushing blow requirements. I don't even know what that means. Let me go ahead and check out what the requirements are for blazing Nitro kick. Just twice in a row, right? What do they mean it doesn't count towards that? The move has to hit the opponent twice in a row. Oh, I see what they mean. So I guess now if you do a short hop or a parry before doing this move twice in a row, you don't actually get the crushing blow. Whereas before you kind of did. So that's kind of a stealth nerf, but at the same time it was always intended to be that way, and it was kind of an oversight that it didn't. So now if you land this, you can't do a short hop and then land it afterwards. It doesn't count as doing it twice in a row. So let's double check. Did that, do the short hop, and then do it again. Doesn't count. And likewise for a parry. If I did Nitro kick and then did a parry, I can't do Nitro Kick again and get my crushing blow. It just doesn't work that way. So that's a bit of a minor nerf, but it's also how the move was supposed to work from the get-go. And that's honestly about it for Jade. She didn't have very many changes, so I wanted to squeeze it into this video because it's definitely not enough to be its own separate video. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below. It really does help my channel out a ton. And then while you're down there, please request which character you want next. And finally, why not keep that combo going by subscribing and ringing that bell? That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.